Hello everybody, my name's Emily Powers and I'm going to be painting a cat in acrylic paint today, and it'll be a step-by-step tutorial so that you can follow along if you'd like. And I just thought real quick before I start I would show the schedule for the last month. So all of these I've painted already and they're on my channel. So if you hit Emily Powers Art right below the video, it will take you to my channel and you can watch those. And then in February, we're going to be doing these, and the printer kind of printed it a little funny in the blue areas, but you kind of get the idea of some of the things we're going to be doing. So a moth, a pretty landscape with a bunch of blue colors and mountains, and a sailboat silhouette, and then a giraffe. So you can check those out. They'll be coming out in February, and I do a new video every Friday. So all the supplies that I'm using are in the description right below the video, and you can just hit the arrow right below the video and it'll drop down the description. And I'm using even though it's and I'm sorry, I had all these different things I'm thinking I need to say at the beginning. Even though it's in the description, I do want to say that the canvas is a different size than I normally do. It's an 8x10, and I'm going to do it vertical instead of horizontal like I normally do. And pretty much the only reason I thought I would change the size is because the 9x12 was kind of longer, and I thought it would be better to have it a little smaller for the size of the picture. So I'm just gonna start, and there are links in the description also with some of the supplies where you can buy them. So if you buy some of those supplies through my link, then a percentage of your purchase helps support my channel. So I'm going to get, this is a number 12 Bright, and it's Princeton Summit is the brush, but just this is like a 1-inch Bright. So whatever brushes you have, you can use those. It doesn't have to be this exact brush or anything. But I'm just going to start by covering the whole thing a solid color and just cover the whole canvas with it. So I'm going to get Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber and some white and make like a gray. And I don't want it too light and I don't want it too dark, because there's kind of some really dark areas in the cat and some really light areas. So I'm just going to kind of go in the middle. Just a medium. I'm just going to paint it on. And I can take a spray bottle and spray my paint and my canvas, so it'll help my paint stay wet longer and it'll help the paint go onto the canvas better. But you don't have to have that. It's just, if you paint a lot, then it's nice to have. Especially when you're painting for a long time, it can be nice to be able to keep your paint wet longer. Kind of having to mix more as I go, so you could make a bunch at one time, so you won't have to mix more later if you want. And if you mix it and the color isn't exactly the same, it's probably not going to really do anything. But I mean, just try to get it close. Alright, so I got all that on there. So now I need it to dry. Just try to cover all the white areas. I may have missed some, but So since this is a canvas that actually has like sides, I'm going to pause the video, let this dry, and paint the sides also. Okay, so now it's dry enough, we can go on to our next stage, and I painted the sides. So I'm going to draw where I want my eyes, my nose, the tongue, you know, all that. So I'm going to start by putting a dot in the middle of the canvas just so that I can kind of know where things are compared to that point. And what I'm going to do is, see, it's going to be, if you mark it into fourths, the nose is going to come right below that. And it's probably not that big. Get a smaller nose. Alright, so if I mark the middle and the fourth, then it's going to be kind of right in that area. It's just kind of like a little curve, and then two curves down this way, and then one curve. And make it kind of small, because like you could see I was doing it kind of big, but make it a little smaller. And make sure, let's see, it might be a little bigger than that. Don't want to do it too big. Don't want to do it too small. It's probably a little better. A little bigger. And then I'm going to mark where I want my eyes to come. So my first eye is going to come on this fourth. So if I do the middle, and then I do the fourth, and the eye is going to be top of the eye right there, and then this other eye is going to be a little bit higher, so I can kind of mark it like that. And then I'm going to come from this side of the nose out, and just gradually kind of coming out that direction, and I'm going to kind of go up and then just kind of dip down a little bit and come off the edge. And then I'm going to, right about in here, do where I want my eye to be. And it can have some big eyes. And the eye is going to be right in here. And let's see, I don't want to make it too big. So middle, so the top's going to be right there, and then the bottom of the eye needs to be kind of like right in here. So I did do it too big. You can rub the chalk off with your finger or with like a damp towel. And then this side of the nose, I'm going to come up and around like that. And then just a little bit above where this one started. bigger than the other. You can probably adjust it as we go too, so. And I want my eyes to be a little bigger than the nose. So it looks about right. A little bigger than the nose. And then I'm gonna, from this point in the middle of this part of the nose, I'm gonna come out, and if I go down from the eye, and right about in here is where I'm gonna kind of slightly curve it in. And then on this side, I'm gonna kind of come from the eye again. That's gonna be where I wanna put my eye, or down from the eyes, where I'm gonna wanna kind of make it come in a little bit. And then side of the face, and up more. And the drawing kind of looks a little funny. I think that's kind of normal for the drawing stage to look a little weird, but just keep going. When you paint it, it looks a lot better. Sometimes the drawing looks really weird, and you just have to paint it for it to look better. Alright, so now if I come out just a little bit further than I did the nose, that's going to be where I start the tongue. I'm going to have this part come out down a little further, and then this part, you don't see as much of it. And I'm going to have the paw. So the paw is going to be, it seems like around the same size as like this area of the face. It's pretty big. And so I just kind of do kind of like a, not really quite an oval, but similar to an oval down there. And then for the toes, there's going to be one toe kind of in here. And then there's something in here like a claw or something. And then kind of another dark area in between the toes, and then another dark area in here. Okay, and it looks like you might be seeing like a little bit of the arm. I don't know, maybe not. And then kind of above this area in the eye, kind of right in that section about where the eyes are, I'm going to do a curve and do some patterns on the face. So I'm going to do kind of like a swoop up and then two down, and then two up, and then kind of one in the middle. And the pattern doesn't have to be exact, I'm just kind of getting an idea of what I want in there. Alright, so there's the drawing. So it looks a little weird, but I think it'll work. So I'm going to take number 6 Filbert, and it's a Princeton Summit, just like the brush I was using before. So it's like a 1/2 inch size, and it's got the rounded tip, the Filbert. And what I'm going to do is just kind of do a base, I guess, of areas where I want it lighter and areas that I want it darker. So I'm going to get those two colors again, the Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber, and make it dark. It's okay. It's my dog. She's growling for some reason. Sometimes she like growls for no reason at all. I don't know why. And I think I'll probably leave. Well, I don't know. I should probably do that part too. Alright, so I'll just start here, I guess. And just do some areas I want it darker. And I may, sorry, she's still growling. I may end up adding some other colors later, but if I do, they're going to be in the description already, so. And you don't have to have the same things that I do, just something similar. The same, doesn't have to be the same colors or anything, just. You don't have to do your size if you don't want to, but I like to. And that's one reason why I don't normally use a canvas with sides when I'm doing videos, because I don't want to have to take the time to do the edges. Alright, and now I'm just adding white to it. And that's kind of similar to what's already there. I mean, at least we'll cover the canvas a second time and give it another coat. Alright, so I'm getting it lighter now, and the edges over here have some pretty light color. The corners above the eye, and kind of in between areas that have the dark. Kind of making that chalk around the nose go away, but you can paint it back if it goes away. So I just kind of go above the eye and those corners. Now I'm going around the nose area. Now going on the nose. A little bit in here. Go back and get that dark mixture and go in between the toes, kind of where it needs some dark. extra details even around the edges, but since this is a video, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'll just leave it that plain gray, just because I don't want to make everybody bored. Alright, and then I guess I can put in the first layer of the tongue. So I'm going to get Cadmium Red Medium and Deep Magenta and some burnt umber. More magenta, it's not that red, more pink. Just kind of get a dark color and put in the first coat of that red pink color. This is fun already. It's like, I mean, I love cats and I love painting, so painting cats, that's like, alright, so it already has a little bit of like an idea of what's happening, but the eyes still need to be filled in. And I think I may end up getting a black out because I'm not really getting the dark color as dark as I want. If it's working for you, that's okay, but you don't have to get out another color, but I think I might. Alright, so I'm making that dark color again, and I'm going to go in and around the eye. I'm just going around the eye. Alright. And I might just do a little bit above it. And if you get too much dark, like if it's like really thick and you get way too much than you wanted, you can always put lighter back in. And if you don't put it as much as you want, you can always put more too, so. Alright. So I'm going to rinse that out, and I think I'm going to put in first layer of my eye. I'm just going to do kind of like a green color at first, just to have something there that's not gray. So I'm going to get my cadmium yellow and just a little bit of ultramarine blue, make the green, and a lot of white because I want to cover over. So this could look really weird. But you have to put, I think animals go through like the ugliest stages in paintings. So like other things may have ugly stages, but animals just seem to have like the worst ones. They just look really ugly in this stage. I think main one reason is because of like the eye, how weird it looks. And I'm kind of using the brush to do like those rounded edges. So yeah, it looks really, really weird right now. It's like, I almost wish it didn't have to look this weird, but and when you get to this part and it looks so bad, you might think you can't finish it and make it look better because of how bad it looks, but it's kind of gotta look bad. So alright, this eye looks like way, way bigger. I'm gonna need to shrink that one. Get that dark color again. And just make it a little smaller. Make it a little too big. Okay, so we got the first part. Cannot wait to get those eyes to look better. This is like really weird. I didn't expect it to look that weird. I guess I didn't really think about it that much. But anyway, and you're gonna probably want to add a lot of white to whatever color you use in the eye so that you can cover that gray. Okay, and now I think I'm gonna switch and get a different brush. I think I'm gonna get, well, you know what, actually I want to use this brush for like the body you're seeing back here because you're not seeing a whole lot of detail, so I want to just put that in with the big brush and not do as many details on it. Alright, so I got the dark color again, and I'm just going to go in the dark areas. I think I'm just going to do one side at a time so that it won't dry before I get to do it. I want to blend them, make it a little bit of white, a little bit more brown there. Alright, and I'm just going to kind of blend. I'm kind of going to go in this direction so that any of the streaks from the brush strokes come up. It'll look like they're going in the right direction. If I did it kind of like sideways or something, it would look kind of weird because the fur doesn't actually go that way. I'm going to get more white. There's a lot of white in here. It's okay if I go over the tongue or anything like that. Just get some of the dark, and there's like these stripes that are kind of in there a little bit. I'm going to get some of the dark and go up in here. Alright. have just a little bit of detail. A little bit more white. And make some areas really bright. Alright, that's probably good. And then get dark again. Do this side. And now I'm going to go in this direction. So we switch sides. I'll do it this way. You can, if it's not really wanting to go on well, you can add some more water and it'll help the paint. Alright, I'm just getting some white. Okay. It's looking a little different than the other side. Not really like the way it's coming out. I'm gonna try real quick before it dries. Get some more of those colors back. Alright, I'm sorry. I just realized that my headset wasn't on, and so the volume got, it started out good because I had it on at the beginning, and then I took it off at some point and didn't put it back on. So sorry, you probably had to turn your volume up like all the way to be able to hear what I'm saying, but I got it back on now. It's the first time that I think I've done that and actually started the video, so I guess it's gonna happen again probably at some point, so sorry about that though. Alright, so I'm just gonna get more of my white. I'll put some back in here again. And I was in the process, when I discovered my headset wasn't on, I was getting more paint out. Alright, and it's gonna mix that and Alright, so that might be good. If we want to do more later, we can do that. But that's pretty good for that part. So it's got some dark areas, some lighter areas, kind of make it look kind of like some stripes. And it is kind of like, seem like a big patch of dark though. Get just a little bit of white and put some in there. Alright, so I'm rinsing that brush out, and I'm going to take my number 4 round. It's Royal Soft Grip. Number says SG 250. So, I mean, any round brush will work, but this is just the one I have. And I'm going to start mixing that dark color again because I just keep getting more white in it and making it not as dark as I want. Alright, and then I will put in the nose, so right in here. I'm going to do the edges, kind of just basically paint it in the same way that we drew it. And then there's like 2 sections on each side that kind of come out a little bit. So like it's alright. I think I did it a little too high, so I'm gonna put it back down. Alright. I think it's better. It's just the first layer, so. Alright, now I'm gonna do the eyes, even though normally I might not do it next. I don't know, I just really want that to look better. This looks really bad right now. Alright, so I'm going to get some, actually I think I'm going to take a little bit of yellow ochre for the eye. Just a little bit. Because I feel like I need a darker yellow. And I'm going to take that. So it's yellow ochre. But it's, you can see the difference in the 2 yellows. It's just kind of like more neutral and a little darker. And put that on this side. Let me zoom in some so you can see a little better. And hopefully I'll remember to zoom back out. Alright, and now I'm taking some burnt umber with that color and making a darker color to go around it. Alright, and now I'll make like that yellow color that we used at the beginning, that first layer. So I'm taking some Cadmium Yellow Medium, a little bit of Ultramarine Blue, and white, and I still have some of those more neutral colors in the brush still, so it'll mix with them and make it more neutral. And this is just the second layer, so it'll still probably look funny, but just gotta keep going. So I'm taking that yellow and ultramarine mixture, but this time I'm adding a little bit more ultramarine, and it's going to kind of make it more of like a blue color. So there's the first layer. So it still looks weird because it doesn't have that black in the middle, but we can fix it. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side pretty much, except it doesn't have, it's not as dark as this one. This one seems kind of dark. This one's a little lighter, so I'm going to get the two yellows and combine them. Put that around this one. So maybe the light's coming from this direction and making that one a little darker. And I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber. There is kind of like a dark section that comes around the eye on this side. Alright, and then I'm going to get that green. Put in there. I'm going to get a little bit more yellow and white over here. All right. So did that next layer, and I think I might go ahead and just put in the dark in the center so that it'll look better. Alright, so what I'm going to do is put it, it's going to kind of stop right in here. I'm going to start it over here. And they're not going to be circles. That's how a cat's eyes are. So they're going to be more like a squished circle. And it's vertical. And then this one, I'm going to stop it right like in here. We can change it a little because it's a little crooked on that side. Change it later. Alright, so I'm rinsing my brush and I'm going to zoom out. Alright, so I think next I want to take the chalk off. Just get it off there. Don't want to touch anything that's wet still, so be careful. Yours still has some wet areas. Alright. And now I think I'm going to start on the texture of the face. So I'm going to take a 3/8 inch Lunar blender. It's Princeton Select. And so it's got these like hairs that are stiff. And I'm going to get, I'm going to get this dark color and put in these like areas in the fur that are supposed to be darker. And it seems kind of like the fur at this point kind of comes in and then it kind of comes out. So it's kind of like in and then out. So just try to do the same, like make your brush go in the same direction as the fur is going. Okay. Actually, might kind of start around the nose and a little bit of water and make it a little thinner. It'll come off a little better. All right. Alright, so I'm going to get a little bit of a lighter color. So this is kind of in between. Okay. I'll just go on the nose and flick some. It's not light enough. It's not showing. I'm going to get it lighter. Alright, so right in here I'm going to do some lighter fur. And you want to try to make sure you don't get like a big blob. Like as soon as I started saying that, I kind of got one right in there. It's not too bad, but just try not to get like too much of one color. Alright, so I want to go around the eye. And keep trying to make sure you're going in the right direction with your brush strokes. And if you get an area that's like too thick, you can always go back and do it different later on. Alright, now I'm going to get some of the kind of darker, not too dark. It's not that much darker, but get some, and I'm going to do like some darker spots. Alright, getting more white. And all in here. I'm going to do it well, it's not really coming off my brush very good. I think I'm trying to go too fast. So it's just kind of all making thick areas. Alright, get a little bit. Alright, so it's not finished, but it's better than what we had. And get some of this gray. And go over this area that's kind of darker. Alright, so I'm getting the dark again. There's a little bit of darker kind of in here. Kind of where the whiskers are coming out. Alright, I'm going to get my lighter color. Oops. So I think what I need to do is try to get, when I go to get more paint, don't get a whole lot, and then don't tap down so hard once you've just reloaded the paint. Alright, so it's getting better. I mean, it's still kind of in the ugly part, especially because the eyes always make it look weird, but at least it looks a little better. Getting some more white. Alright, and then I'm going to get that white, and around the eye I'm going to tap some white, some really light color against the eye, and just go along the eye and just flick some of that in. Alright, that's pretty good. And around the mouth is a lot lighter too, but I'll get to that later. Okay, getting some gray. Nope, I'm going the wrong way. Maybe going down. Sometimes the fur, you have to, like in here, it'll go one way and then go the opposite way. I'm getting more light on it. Alright, fix that later. Alright, so I had to stop for a while and my paint here got all mixed together, but there's still some of it's wet, so I can probably still use it. Okay. More white. And I'm going along the edge of his face. And there's some lighter color. And don't try to you can go right over the nose and it won't hurt anything, so don't try to avoid that area, just go right over it if you need to. Okay. Put somewhere on the nose of that lighter, and then there's some of that white around the eye on the side. Alright, now I'm going to kind of make some more darker with those two. Put some in here. Around the eye. Okay. Alright, so I'll do some on the paw. Get the darker color first and go where there should be some darker color. I'm just kind of scrubbing back and forth at the moment and get some of the lighter. Be a little lighter than that to show up. I'll get some more white and do that white wherever I want it really bright. And maybe not completely white, but a really light color. And put some on this part of the paw. And then you kind of wipe some of that off and get the dark gray. And put some of that on. And kind of right up against the edge of the white. Put some dark. All right. That's good for the moment. And rinse that out. Can do more on the eye maybe now. And I'm going to get the yellow and a little bit of blue and some brown and make a brown but has some green in it, and put that in there, and a little bit of white. And get some of the really dark and just go along the edge down there. Get some more yellow. A little bit of white. And put it in a few areas. And now I'll get more of that blue. Certain areas I want it to have more yellow, and other areas I want it to have more blue. So when I get actual close to the black part of the eye, I want to make it more blue. And I'll get a little bit of white, a little bit more blue. More white. A little more blue. Alright, I'll take some of this like dark color and do this like pattern in the eye. Don't want to do it too dark though, or to where it stands out. and makes the whole thing look funny. Alright, and I'll try to make it dark. Put in the center again. Need to cover that better. Alright, so it's a little better than that. When we get the highlight in there, it'll really look better. And also want to go around it and put in that dark again. Alright, so that's better. And I'll go and do this other eye. Actually, what I do notice about this one is that it needs to be a little bit rounded at that tip. It doesn't have to have a sharp point. It needs to be a little rounded. A little bit more like that. So you can adjust things as you go. So in here, I think I'll get the cadmium yellow and white, a little bit of ultramarine, that out here, a little bit of the yellow ochre, the darker yellow, and then a little bit more blue. With that color, yellow color. It's a little bit more white with it too. A little bit of that yellow ochre again. More of the green. And then in the center, some of that dark color. going over like the tip of that eye and going over with the dark. Needs to kind of be shaded a little. And getting some of those yellows and just going around here. And I'm making the pupil smaller because I didn't like what it looked like before. Okay, it's not quite right. Get some of that green. And I want to try to make them similar. I want to try to make the eyes similar. I don't want one to be one shape and the other one to be like a totally different shape. Okay. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And now just have to do the dark around the eye. Kind of got out of that a little bit. It always looks better when it has the highlight in it, so I might stick that in and then make sure, just see if that'll make it look better. It's looking a little better. Let me get a little bit of that, like yellow and blue. So I can just kind of put some where I want it and then blend it out with my finger or just with a brush. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this dark and go kind of around the eye. My brush has a little bit of water in it. And I can brush over some dark, just a little bit, enough to kind of make the eye look like it's in, like rounded in there. I'm gonna do a little bit on this side. It's kind of already got that a little bit, so, but this other eye is lighter, so. I'll get a little bit of that brown color and just put a little bit more of it in there. A little bit and kind of go just outside the eye, pupil. Okay, that's good for that at the moment. Now I'll do the tongue. So I'm gonna get magenta and some cadmium red medium. Not a lot of magenta though, make it more pink. And some burnt umber. So it's kind of sort of like the color, it's real close to that color that we started with. And get a little bit more of the magenta. Get a little bit of white with it. And get a little bit of that dark color and stick it in here. And it's okay to like kind of tap with your brush strokes because it's kind of, you know, it's got all that texture on there anyway. The cat's tongue's rough, so now I'm just getting the magenta and the red and some white and putting some on this side. This is the side with more color, or more light. And then I'm going to get it brighter again, adding more white, and do the edge. Alright, I'll take some of the darker color and just go at the top and on the bottom. And do some of that. Okay. Now do some more of the fur. And I need more of my dark colors to make my dark color. Alright. Alright, and do some in there. Alright, and then we'll have a little bit coming down. Alright, now get some of the gray. And a little bit more water. Need it thin. And if I don't like something, I can just kind of blend the dark back over. Some of the dark and go some in here. Okay. And get some more dark and just kind of put a little bit over here. Alright. I may not really need to do a whole lot more of the darker colors. Just try to do some white. A little bit of water. I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't really use any water with it. A little bit more. A little bit more water. And I'll go over that dark spot a little bit. I mean, you can still see the difference. You can see that it's darker there. And I'll do some in here. I'm trying to make sure my hand doesn't block the camera view. It's kind of hard to do it the way that I normally would paint and not block the camera at the same time. I don't know, it might be fine, but sometimes I think it's fine and it's not, so just make sure, especially when you start getting on the last few layers, that you're going in the direction of the fur. Do a little bit more on the nose here. Get a little bit of darker right up against where the nose is. Okay. And it's still not quite bright enough in the white areas, but I'll probably go over another time or two with white and make it a little brighter. Okay. All right. It's good. Of that over these darker areas. All right. Alright, so now that I kind of have most of my tongue, the color I want it, I'll just be a little more careful about where I go over it. I'll just go over it just a little, make a few hairs go over. Alright. So I don't really know exactly anything else to say to make it easier to do it. I mean, I'm basically just doing the darker areas, the darker color, going in the direction that they need to go. And I'm doing the middle color, and then I'm doing like the really light white. And I'm going to do a little bit brighter along the eye. It's not as bright as the other one. Okay. And I'm getting kind of a middle gray. And all right, I'm gonna do, see, I need more white. All right. Okay, I'm getting some really bright on the paw. I just don't want to do as much on here. All right. So I think that's pretty good for the paw. And now I just want to get some more white now. And I'm gonna try get some thicker. Get a little bit thicker white and go and really brighten up these areas I want to be really white. A little bit more brighter white over here. Alright, and the more, even brighter white and on here on the nose in the middle. This is probably a little bit of a harder painting to do. And one thing that makes it kind of hard is that it looks so weird at the beginning, like so odd looking. may be kind of hard to, you know, like realize that you're doing it right. It might make it a little harder when it looks so weird at the beginning, but it's not too super hard. And the shape of the eyes matters too, because I've gotten the eyes shaped to where it sometimes I'll be doing some kind of animal, and the way that the eyes are makes it look like mad or angry or something. And so, you know, you don't want that. You have like this cute cat and then you have like these angry eyes or something on it. So that matters. You might want to make sure you get the eye. If it's looking mad, then that is probably why the eyes are shaped that way. So if you can kind of adjust the eye, it might not look like that anymore. Okay. Do a little bit in those areas that are in there, kind of in between that pattern. And do a little brighter in here. And get a little bit, does need to have some dark in here. I know it looks weird, but it needs to have some dark for the whiskers to go. A little bit more blue. It's kind of brown in there. And I might go back with like white and go over it some so that it doesn't look like it's, you want it to actually look like it's in the fur, not like sitting on top of it. Alright. Okay, and now I think I will do the highlights in the eyes and the tongue. Let's see. Alright. So I'm going to get a number run round. It's Princeton Velvetouch, and just a small round. It doesn't have to be the same one, but I want one that is going to be good for the details. So I'm going to get some white. I'm going to zoom in so that you can really see what I'm doing. Alright, so for this first eye, the highlights are kind of, you know what, before I do that, I'm going to darken the eye up one last time. So I'm going to get the burnt umber and ultramarine blue and just darken it up one more time. Get good and dark before I put the highlights on. Okay. I'm just going to real quickly mix up some of that light green. Make that a little more round. Alright. So I'm going to get my white. And it's like a window is making the reflection, so it's going to be like, I'm going to have that, and then there's going to be another one, kind of like boxes, because the windows letting light in all these different windows, so it's and then get this one. So you want to leave like a little space in between. In between each box. I kind of went a little far there, but go back and fix it. Alright. So I'm going to get my dark color again. And go in between. All right. Alright, it's good for that side. And now for this side, hope you could see that. For this side, I'm going to do one kind of right in here. kind of flick it up, because you're supposed to be able to like see some of the, it's kind of like some shadows of like some hairs from up above. So do like do the border and then like flick it up. And we don't have to do that on the lower ones. We don't have to flick these, so. You can add some water to the white if it's not wanting to go on very well. Kind of went a little too far, so I'm going to rinse that off my brush and use the damp brush to just lift some of it off. It's got a little water in it, so it can help with that. Alright, so now I'm gonna take my brush now, get it wet again, and pick up what I don't want. Put more down. You can always put more color if you missed some. Alright, so now I'll go back and just brighten up some of them. Alright, so the eyes definitely look better with highlights. It's like they definitely look very ugly at the very beginning, and they start looking a little better towards the middle, but it's at the very end when they get the highlights that they really start looking better. Before then it's just not quite right. Alright, and then I'll get my bigger round brush that I was using earlier and do more on this nose. It's kind of got like a slight curve up and another slight curve up, and then got this dark on both sides. I just want to get a little bit of white, just very small amount, and a little bit more. I don't want it to be super noticeable, but I want to be able to see it a little bit. And I want to kind of do a little bit of lighter right there and kind of leave the very edges dark. So you can just see a little bit of detail on there. And now for the tongue, I think I'm going to zoom in on that part too. Alright, so for the tongue I'm going to get my number 1 round again, what I did the highlights for the eyes with. And I want to do some really small, I guess little hairs on his tongue, what makes it rough. And I'm going to get white and just a little bit of the deep magenta and a little bit of the cadmium red medium, just so it's not like pure white. And get some water. And over here I'm going to do more like some kind of like dots. I'm going to tap them out and kind of then make it not pop out so much. And then as we get over this way, they're going to actually be more like hairs that are coming off. Oops, way too big. And I can kind of like tap and then pull a little bit. And I'll kind of make it look like that too. And we also need to do whiskers in a minute, so do just a little bit off of these, and pulling them down. And they don't come all the way out to the edge. Kind of stop before they get all the way out. Alright. And that's pretty good. I'm going to take a little bit of magenta and the brown and kind of water it down some. And just go over some in the darker spots with it. You want it to be dry though, or else it'll smear it all over the place. And while I'm zoomed in anyway, I'll get my dark color and do some darkening up on right up against that nose. Oops. Alright, and I also want to make the nose a little bigger because I think it's a little small, just barely, so I'm gonna just make it a little bit bigger. And put that kind of lighter gray back in too that I had. Alright. And I want to water down some more of that dark color and go up against the edge of the nose. Oops. Don't want to ruin it now. Got a bunch of blue on my finger. Alright. So I think that's better. And I'll zoom out. Alright, it's looking good. And I'll do some more white and just kind of give it one more coat and just a few spots of the white. He's looking really good. A bit too much. More of that dark color, put that back. To water down that white a little bit more. All right. There you go. Get some dark again and kind of make it come down that area back there. Alright, could probably put some more white, but I'm going to do the whiskers now. Rinse that off. And I'm going to get my 1/4 inch angle. It's Princeton Select Angular Shader. It's a 1/4 inch, and so it's just an angled, small angle brush, but you could use whatever you want. It doesn't have to be an angle. You could probably even use the number 1 round that I had earlier, but I think it's a little bit harder for me to control the round than an angle, so I'm going to do the dark ones first, I think. You could do the white ones first if you wanted. Do it over here. Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber. Make them dark. And get some water because you want them to flow off the brush. Alright. And from this dark area, we're going to do some of these whiskers that are like coming from like eyebrows. And then do this side. And do a few kind of come out down. Alright, and now some whiskers down here. There's also going to be some white ones, so you don't want to do too many of these because we're going to do more, so make them real long or do some short ones. Alright, and then do some over here. And any that you don't like, you can always cover over. I mean, it's a little harder to cover over at this point than covering over some other things, like in the fur, but you can still do it. Alright, I'm going to do the white ones. Okay, and water it down just a little bit. You don't want it as thin probably as you would do like for the shorter fur. Alright, and I'll do a few like kind of that carry on, like they start black and then they turn white. rinsed my brush out and I'm taking my wet brush and just fixing that. Alright, and then we'll do this side. Take that off. We're going to do a few more. These longer ones. Okay. Alright, and I'll get my dark color, kind of make it darker where they start, and then do some okay. Making some dark spots, and then I'm going to get my white and kind of cover up some of the darker whiskers in there. Alright, and I'll get a little bit of my darker color and kind of a little darker in between the two cheeks. Alright, so I think that that's pretty good. So I'm going to take my Faber-Castell Artist Pen and sign it. And I think I'll do it over here. I like the way it came out. It's really cute cat. Alright. Oh, and I forgot the little claw. Right in here. So he's got kind of like a little claw just barely poking out. Just a little bit. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to show one more time the schedule. So this is what we did in January. And so they're all on my channel now, and you can press Emily Powers Art right below the video to go to my channel and see those. And then for February, we're going to do those. And again, my printer didn't print very good, especially on the blue. So the colors aren't exactly right, but, and there aren't going to be those streaks. But that's what we're going to be doing in February. So moth, a giraffe, mountains, a sailboat. So those will be coming up in February. So I hope you enjoy the video, and thanks for watching. If you like the video, please hit the like and subscribe. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.